very, very excited to say hello to our first guest of the day, kind enough to join us once again in studio. I love these in-studio chats, and we've got a lot to talk about with the PFL CEO, soon-to-be MVP MMA CEO, Mr. John Martin is here to give us all the goods. Is he in fact here? Yes, he is back. This has been almost like a reoccurring theme for us, the State of the Union. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. We always appreciate it.
Oh,
LA and New York, by the way, right? Where are you spending more time these days?
Split, but I consider New York home.
Okay, because I saw you
The last time I saw you was...
LA, and then I saw you with Sakakibara
You're right.
in LA as well, right?
Yes.
He said he visited you and all that stuff.
Yes.
So we'll talk about all of
Great.
that, but there's some big news to talk about off the jump. I'm a little offended, by the way. If you might just bring the microphone here, they get mad. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of wanted the scoop, you know?
I'm sorry.
Where'd you go? Wall Street Journal or something?
Yeah, that's...
What have they done that we haven't done for you guys? We cover you on the daily here.
Yeah.
In fact, some might even say all of this started on this program, right?
It did all start.
Tell me the story.
That's right. That's right. So the last time I was here in New York,
Yes.
which I think was in March, maybe.
Yeah.
You, out of nowhere, brought up this idea of possibly rebranding the PFL, and because
I was hearing whispers.
right,
Yeah.
and I tend to tell the truth when people ask me targeted questions. So I said, well, in fact, we are looking at it because we were. And there were a number of different brand names that we were testing and doing some work on. One was Bellator. Everybody jumped to the conclusion that we're going to rename the company Bellator again, but in fact, it was going through. So anyway, I left here, and Nikisa Bedarian, co-founder of MVP, hit me up with a text, and he said, listen, watched you on Ariel. By the way, thank you for saying some nice things about their May 16th event, which I did, which I meant. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, if you're thinking about rebranding the PFL, why don't we talk? Because there's a bigger idea here. And the irony of that was because I had been thinking about something similar. I was going to reach out to him, but I was going to wait till after the May 16th event. I wanted to see how that went. And then I thought, I had been looking at what was happening in the combat sports landscape with the big UFC deal with Paramount, with UFC moving into boxing with Zuffa, everything that Turki Al-Sheikh has been doing in boxing, bringing a lot of capital inflows, putting on some of the biggest cultural moment events in boxing in the last decade plus. And then I was looking at what MVP was doing. And what they were doing was really interesting to me because they weren't doing what we were doing, but they had a very strategic relationship with Netflix, and they had Jake Paul. They had big events on the biggest video platform in the world, which I know you were involved in. And I thought it was pretty interesting because immediately what I saw is Jake is a bit of a unicorn. I mean, he's an athlete, a global content creator. He's one of the most recognizable names in the world. He can catch attention in a way that very few human beings can. And then with what Nikisa had done in terms of building these really interesting events with big stars, legends, and bringing in massive numbers on Netflix. So they reached well beyond what would be considered hardcore combat sports fans, and they were reaching casual fans. And we were unable to do anything like that. But we had a world-class roster of MMA fighters. We have a global infrastructure. We have partnerships with 34 media partners around the world. We have all the revenue monetization capabilities already set up. So what I thought they were going to struggle with is if they wanted to move more deeply into mixed martial arts, how do they build a roster quickly? How do they finance that? How long is that going to take? That's going to put increasing competition in the marketplace for fighter talent. And I said, we have all of that, but what we need is to elevate our brand. We need to get casual fans to realize who we are. And wouldn't it be great to partner with that attention-getting organization? I thought it was a way to accelerate our company, the PFL, and their company. And Nikisa beat me to the punch, but he was thinking about the same thing. So when he said, I think there's a bigger play here, I called him up immediately. I said, where are you? He said, I'm in London. I said, great, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow.
Come on.
And I invited, and he accepted Sudeep Ramnani, who's our principal investor, along with his cousin Jay, at SportyBet, and through they founders of SportyBet, but their investment arm is called 885 Capital. Mm-hmm. And and so Sudeep was in Spain, so he flew and met me, and we met with Nikisa. I think I sat with Nikisa the first time for about 6 hours.
Come on.
And we went round and round, and the idea from a strategy standpoint, I think made sense to all of us immediately. So then it was just a question of, I wanted to get to know him better. I think he wanted to get to know me better. He said he remembered me from the 2016 sale process of the UFC, which he did from his perch as the CFO there. And I think the idea started to get momentum from that day. I left his offices in London and traveled with Sudeep back to Spain because we had some business to do down there. And just talking through it with him for another day, and we started to see just, okay, what would it mean for the sport? What would it mean for the future of our company? In many ways, you'd be de-risking somewhat an ability to succeed, possibly de-risking on their side as well. And we started to get really excited about this idea that we could really solidify a number 2 position in combat sports with a real path and trajectory, with a differentiated idea, product, vision. And we could really only do that together. And if we tried to do it at PFL, it'd be hard to do. It would take a long time. If they tried to do it at MVP, hard to do. It would take a long time. And so that's really the idea. So then we tried to get a deal done and announced before May 16th, which would have been pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
We just couldn't get it done in time. So we decided to pause for a moment, let that go by. I was in the event arena. I said hello to you. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
But I was a guest of Nikisa and Jake. And so I was there. I took it all in. There was 16,500 people in the arena. It was a very entertaining card. And I thought it was a card that checked a lot of boxes for a lot of different fans, right? You had Saladin Parnasse, who emerged as a real fantastic fighter. In fact, I wish we had him versus UFC. But then you had Francis, who still looks amazing, and then you had Gina and Rhonda with the iconic fight at the main event, and Nate against Mike, which was a fun fight. So I thought the event was really, really terrific. But I thought, again, that the PFL fighter roster could help energize that and bring it to another level. And so that was really the idea. And so we just kept at it. I mean, these deals take on a life of their own. Sometimes, you get caught up on little tricky things, but I'm excited. I'm really energized. Now we're saying internally, like, now the hard work starts.
Of course.
There's the promise, but now we have to put it into practice. So I think we've set a realistic timetable, which is like, listen, we're going to come out with the new MVP product really to kick off 2027. We're in discussions with U.S. media partners, potential partners, and those are ongoing. I don't have much that I can comment on here. But it's encouraging, and I think there's a genuine enthusiasm to a higher level than we had previously in both organizations. And now that I've gotten to meet a lot of the employees at MVP, it's a small company.
Yeah.
But I realize they've got some really talented folks there, and already getting together and integrating, and we got to figure out how to work with one another. I have to learn the boxing business, really, which I'm just coming at. I'm a fan from the time I was a little kid, but it's a different business, so I'm enjoying doing that. And I think, I look forward to really working together to do something fun for the fans and the fighters. And I know Jake and Nikisa have made it a big point over and over and over again to put the fighter first. And I think that's a really interesting perspective. It's easy to say, hey, we're a fighter-first organization. But then the question is, what does it really mean when you put it into practice? And so we're coming up with kind of like, well, what does it mean? And how are we going to lay it out? How are we going to define it? Because we do want to be a place where fighters want to come and feel respected and feel valued.
I have a million follow-ups. Just curious, as an aside, if this didn't happen, if he didn't call you or you guys didn't come to it, what do you think the name would have ended up being?
I don't know.
Would it have been Bellator?
It may have been. It may have just stayed professional fighters.
Oh, that was an option as well?
Yes.
Okay, there wasn't a part of you that thought it has to change?
There was a part of me that said it'd be good to change.
Okay.
I do think the brand had suffered a lot of damage in the past. Not to go back and belabor the past, but I think we were coming into, and I was seeing even in my first several months of being here, knocking on a lot of doors. Some people just didn't want to open the door because they just they were thinking about what it was.
Right.
So from that perspective, having a fresh start, and I know Sudeep, as one of the lead shareholders, shared that. And he said it'd be great to sort of signal that this is a new start, a fresh beginning. And Bellator had some positives. It had some negatives. I know what your view was, which was not positive. But there were some other ideas that we had too. But this, thankfully, I mean, this is a reboot and a rebrand, but on steroids and then some. I mean, the fact that the only other thing I would say that we shared the same vision on, and it's something that I started thinking about last fall, is I do believe the future of combat sports is going to be the ability to offer athletes multiple ways to earn a living. Meaning that if somebody wants to come in and fight in boxing, they should be able to. And if somebody wants to do MMA, they should be able to. And if we have some hybrid crossover stand up with 4-ounce gloves or something, like, we can explore any and all of that. And I think MVP introduced that concept to me, watching their events and seeing these old MMA legends, big, huge names, boxing, and you do realize it's a different sport. But it's good to see that there's additional outlets to continue to earn a living and stay in fans' minds.
Can you explain for us, for the audience? My understanding was MVP was Nikisa and Jake, right? PFL has investors. There's a board. Sadiq, as you mentioned, his cousin Jay, 885. I believe
Nighthead.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So did PFL take over MVP, or I know PFL is becoming MVP, but what's the breakdown here?
No, it's really, we haven't disclosed the financial terms.
Yes, can you,
it's a
please?
Private company.
No better place than here.
We're not going to do
that.
that.
All right.
I figured you would say that. But for all intents and purposes, it really is a merger. And it's hard with these early stage companies to place a value on it, right? And beauty is always in the eye of the beholder. I think my kids are better looking than your kids. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, so we sort of saw through that early on and said, this is really about the strategic upside. How do we put these two companies together, and let's not worry too much about whether there's value being left on either side. Because the fact of the matter is, if we succeed, nobody's going to worry about what these companies were initially valued at. So it really is a merger. I think the first phone conversation I had with Nikisa before I left to go to London, he said, my view is that PFL should take the MVP name. I said, done. I said, that's...
It was that easy.
Yeah.
It was that easy.
That was one of the reasons why I was interested.
Sure. And so, as of now, you're the PFL CEO. You will be the CEO of MVP MMA.
I think technically I'm the CEO of MVP today because the deal has closed, but we haven't changed the products yet.
So does that include the boxing business as
yes.
well? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
but
yes.
Listen, having partners, Jake and Nikisa and Jake invented this boxing business, and they have quietly assembled the most formidable list of female boxers in the world.
Sure.
Nikisa wants to keep driving that business. I want him to work with him and keep driving that business. So we're going to together do that.
Okay. What is his title? I know titles don't really matter, but like...
He's a co-founder, board member, and an advisor. Like
Jake as well.
Yeah, these guys are owners.
Okay.
I mean, they call, I pick up the phone.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I mean, it's that.
So now your plate got a lot more full.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So I guess my understanding was MMA is your baby and boxing is his baby. Now you're overseeing all of it.
Yes. I'm
but
the
I know
CEO
there's other
of the
people.
company.
Yes,
I mean, I think the view shared by everybody, because in full disclosure, as the CEO of the PFL, I thought my duty was to put the company in the best possible position to succeed. So when I came in a year ago, we had to raise capital. That was a 4 to 5 month process. We were able to do that, keep the company in pretty good financial shape, thankfully, with the support of our existing investors. The next thing is, how do you strategically put the company in a better vessel, in a better position to succeed? In my opinion, MVP was absolutely the right thing to do for both companies, but for the PFL side, for sure. So we've done that. So now it's like, I would love to stay CEO, and I'd love to be helpful to the extent that the board still wants me to be there. If and when they decide they don't want me to be there, I still feel good about whatever happened, because I really did this because I love the sport and I wanted to somehow participate in the growth of the global sport.
What a 13 months for you, by the way.
Yeah,
like you came in July of last year, right?
Yeah.
So much has happened.
A lot has happened.
You probably didn't think it would happen this fast, right?
No.
All this stuff, unbelievable.
No, we've gotten a lot done. And don't forget, at the PFL, we changed
Yeah.
We moved away from the tournament. We changed our product. We introduced rankings. We sort of reintroduced a lot of the Bellator fighters that had been dormant for over a year, almost 2 years.
You announced this on the Thursday before the Friday night event on Long Island. And so you're there, boots on the ground. What was the feedback that you got from fighters as this was kind of trickling out?
It's all been pretty positive. I think it's a curiosity to positive.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't heard anybody come out and say this is terrible.
Ultimately, as you know, you're only as good as your rights deal, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a rights deal in this business, you pretty much have nothing. And so that's the big question now. To me, the most interesting story to follow for the next, 4 months in 2026 is that story. What will MVP...
You don't have anything else to focus on?
That is the most interesting to me from a business perspective. I mean, this time last year was the UFC's deal that they announced around this time. Now it's this one because I'm wondering, and please tell us, since announcing this July 30th, have you gotten more calls? Have you gotten more interest? Are doors opening that maybe we're closing?
Yes.
Your own current partner, are they more interested? ESPN, you've been quite vocal about being unhappy with the way they positioned the company this year. Do you feel more interest from them? What can you tell us about those talks?
Yeah, I really don't want to disclose much here because it wouldn't be appropriate.
Sure.
But I will share that between Nakisa and myself, and Jake has been part of it too, but I know between Nakisa and myself, within 24 hours of the announcement, 6 partners or potential partners reached out and said, hey, this looks big. Like, would love to make sure that we're engaging. So
do you feel like you're in a much better spot now than a month ago?
Well, I'll feel better when it's done.
Sure, sure.
And I don't walk around with an excessive amount of hubris. Like, now we have to deliver. I think we have a very, very interesting offering for distributors. That again, one of the benefits of being in our business is we don't walk in the door with a league format that we have to be on air Friday nights or Saturday. Like it's a little bit of, you get a sense of what each distributor is trying to solve for, and then you figure out whether you can have a product offering that can match that. And so we're in the process of figuring that out. But there's been a renewed enthusiasm, and it's exciting. And we've got some more ideas that are non-traditional in nature as well.
Can you tell us any?
Well, I'll point just one that I think we're going to learn a lot. This Friday in Temecula, California, MVP-W as a women's boxing event. It's a world championship fight with Amanda Serrano. In fact, Amanda Serrano is going for the knockout record. She beat Christy Martin if she gets a knockout on this fight. And her opponent is very tough, but it's the first time ever that there's going to be a live championship boxing event on TikTok, and it's going to be on the TikTok live format.
Wild.
And this was not my idea. This was all cooked up at MVP before, but I love this idea as, call it an experiment, as a way to say, okay, what MVP has done better than the PFL historically is it's gotten a younger audience, and that's part of Jake's influence, but it's also part the way they approach the business, the way they market, the way they use social media, which has been much more aggressive than the way we've used it in the past. So we're learning a lot from them. But their average audience is younger. So what better platform to try to reach a massive younger audience than TikTok? So the thing, if you're wearing a business hat and you're looking at the landscape of distribution partners, audience, fans, fighters, you kind of go, okay, well, more and more the younger audiences prefer to consume media and sports on alternative, non-traditional platforms. That's not a very controversial statement. But the money is still over here, more on the traditional side. So the question is, how do you continue to super serve the traditional side and demonstrate that there's value there for them to be with you and partner with you, but then not lose sight of where the future is? Because if we establish a beachhead there, then you can do some really fun things. And so there's lots of ideas around that. But I think first and foremost, really interested to see how it goes on Friday. Excited for the fight. I've been an Amanda Serrano fan for a long time as well. And then the day after we'll be in Tampa for
Chris Cyborg's retirement fight. Is it officially her retirement fight? Retirement from MMA? What is it?
I thought it was, but now she's left the door somewhat open.
Okay.
And so
Classic.
it's the last fight on our current deal.
Interesting.
And it was my understanding up until only recently that it would be her retirement fight. So listen, I think, we could talk for 45 minutes about her accomplishments in the sport, which I think don't get fully appreciated and recognized. But she has set the standard in virtually everything. I mean, 29-2. This is her 19th championship fight. She's been world champion in UFC, Strikeforce, Invicta, Bellator, and PFL. Like, she's done it all. And Ketlen Vieira is going to be a really tough opponent for her.
I was just saying this, I think, is her toughest test since she fought Larissa Pacheco in PFL in 2024. She's had 5 or 6 fights since. Ketlen Vieira, if this is her retirement fight, is a doozy of a fight to go out on.
It is. And to Chris's credit, she was like, I'll fight anybody. And so it's not easy to find a fighter at her caliber and at her talent. So I think we've got a really, really formidable competitor for her. And if you're Chris, you want to go out as the legend, right? I mean, so she cares deeply about winning this fight. But Ketlen Vieira, I mean, the best stories in sports sometimes are those kind of like people that knock off the legends. And those create memorable cultural moments. So I'm really excited about it. And I look forward to kind of celebrating Chris and her career when we're down in Tampa in the next day or so. But then I know she said she's going to talk to her family and talk to her managers and the people around her as to what she wants to do again. But, I'd love to talk to her. And now that we're with MVP, if she wants to box, which she's done some, maybe there's something there to do. Like, I could come up with some interesting ideas there. So anyway, it's I'm looking. I don't want to put too much in front.
No,
focus first and foremost on Tampa. See what happens there, and then we'll see what she wants to do.
Back to the rights. Are you close with anyone?
I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
Because
do you think you'll know before December?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've listened to Dana where he kind of said they were close, and then Paramount came in overnight. But
you know what usually happens? Historically, Dana has always said we're close to someone, and then someone else comes in and be, 11th hour. So it might be in your best interest to say you're close with someone, and then someone comes.
We're close with no.
Okay. Can I ask you? The biggest one is Netflix. Are there talks with Netflix?
There have been, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go beyond that.
Okay. This is, to me, a fascinating story. Can I ask, will there be MVP MMA events in 2026 anymore? Or is it like once we get to January 1st, it turns over? Is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Okay, so nothing before.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to finish the year out with the PFL events.
Got it.
But that'll give us time to do appropriate planning, figure out which partner we're going to be with. And then ultimately start fresh. And with
how many more events this year?
So I'd be happy to announce another event.
Okay, because to the best of my knowledge, this is the last one in America announced.
Announced, yes.
Are there more?
Several more for the rest of this year, but I will announce on your show.
Okay, thank you.
The next event is going to be in Chicago.
Okay.
Again, we were in Chicago earlier this year,
yes,
and there was such a great response. We were at the Wintrust Arena. We'll be there again.
Okay.
We didn't bring a championship fight there, and the amount of outreach and social media requests and DMs that I was getting on my professional MMA handle was like, come back, bring us a championship fight. So we're going to do that.
Okay.
So October 16th, the Wintrust Arena, we are going to have headline. Liz Carmouche is going to fight for the flyweight championship against Jenna Bishop.
Okay.
And originally, we had been planning expecting that if Dakota won in New York, which she did,
yes,
she would be the legitimate title fight, probably against Liz, although we hadn't totally decided that. But of course, for anybody that knows, Dakota won.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, she fractured both of her hands.
Yeah.
And so she's already got them out of splints. And, I talked to her manager every couple of days, and he's like, she's healing. And I know she's very optimistic and enthusiastic about coming back. But that's an unfortunate setback. So I don't want the title to wait.
Good.
And I think this is not a fallback fight. I mean, as I look at Liz Carmouche, we're talking about Chris Cyborg, but Liz Carmouche, I didn't know this, that she was the first opponent for Ronda Rousey in the UFC in 2013.
She's actually the first woman to step in a UFC octagon because she was the first one out. She was the blue corner. So she's part of that history and almost submitted her in that fight.
Yeah, she did almost submit her.
Yes. Seconds away.
So she goes all the way back to then.
2013.
And here we are over a decade later, she's won 13 of her last 14 fights. She's the former Bellator champ. She's the 2025 World Tournament champ for the PFL. She's coming off a big win in San Diego where she had a second round stoppage through submission. And so she still looks amazing at this point of her career. And so she's a legitimate challenger for the inaugural PFL flyweight tournament, soon to be champion, soon to be MVP.
Yeah.
But then her opponent is somebody who I've had my eye on since last tournament, Jenna Bishop. Jenna is one of the most decorated grapplers in the United States. She's, IBJJF, like world no-gi champion, and she's represented the United States in countless tournaments, and she's won 7 of her last 11 fights by submission. And so she was also in San Diego on the card and had a first-round submission against Ariel Helwani. Very, very convincing. And she stood up afterwards and said, I want the belt. I deserve the belt. And I listened, and I think she does deserve a real shot. So I'm excited about this, and we'll be announcing all the other fights on it. But it's exciting to me also to have women at the top of the card. So we're happy
October
to showcase
16th?
that. Yep.
That will be your next one?
Yes.
After this one. And then
And
how
then
many
we'll probably go outside the U.S. for the last couple.
Okay. So maybe...
And those are close to... We're going to be announcing those soon.
3 or 4 more to round out the year?
Probably 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah. All right, pardon the interruption, but I want to tell you about our good friends over at Kalshi. We love Kalshi around these parts. They are the largest prediction market in the United States of America. Let me tell you about Kalshi. You're not playing against the house when you use Kalshi. Kalshi is peer-to-peer trading. You buy yes or no contracts on whether something will happen, and you're trading directly against other users. Think of it like buying or selling a stock. The line isn't set by some algorithm working against you. Public opinion sets the price. Kalshi is CFTC approved. That's federally regulated, which is why it's available all across the country, including California and Texas. If you download the Kalshi app right now and use code HELWANI, HELWANI, you can get up to $25 when you trade 25. Use that QR code right over there, just scan it, and voila! That's Kalshi, Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade what's next. And by the way, please support them because they support us. We love Kalshi, and we hope you do as well. By the way, you mentioned Rhonda. She was very vocal leading up to that fight, wanting to be a part of MVP, one of the faces, if not the face, as a promoter. Is she going to be involved in this in any way, shape, or form?
Possibly, and I hope so. I just met with her in LA last week.
How was that?
Great. It was the first time I met her.
Okay.
And obviously I heard of her and I'm following her career. She's a legend. But we had a great conversation. Nakisa had been talking with her and asked her to meet with me. It was a great, hour-long session, and she's expressed a desire to continue to be involved, and we said we'll come back to her because we'd have to provide her with something that's worthy of her time and attention. And
would it be as a fighter or as a rep?
She doesn't. I asked.
She doesn't
her,
want to fight.
She still says that she doesn't want to fight, and I think she's very serious about having more kids.
Okay.
And, but she's very passionate about the sport still. She's very passionate about giving back to the fighters,
right,
and being involved in a way of being very vocal as a fighter advocate, which is kind of, I think, really interesting. And she'd be an incredible person to work with. So I hope we could work something out. So more to come on that. But she's still very much involved. She talks to Nakisa a lot, I believe.
One big talking point leading up to that fight from her and others were like $40K minimum for the fighters and whatnot. Is that going to be the thing with this new MVP?
I think, look, providing fighters with equitable pay, equitable opportunities, is going to be critical. But fighter first is going to mean a number of different things in terms of the way we approach the fighters. We help provide them with tools to be able to create their own platform. The first time we sign an MMA fighter to a boxing event is something we're going to celebrate. I mean, I think it's going to take shape in many forms.
Okay.
But I know Jake has talked about percentage of revenue and making sure that the fighters get their fair share as a percent of overall revenue. So that's things.
Does that change the way you think? Like, was that different than PFL's?
No,
MO?
because PFL is, we don't have the profitability profile that we have unlimited capability to pay fighters what we want.
Right.
So we have to pay within the construct of the financial envelope that we have. Now, having said that, a lot of people don't realize that we pay competitively to the UFC. So we pay competitively by and large, and we have really, really great fighters that like to be with us and stay with us because we can pay more attention to them than than the UFC can do with a lot of their fighters. They're just too big.
Quickly to round out on Carmouche, will Dakota fight the winner? She has to, right?
Likely, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're talking
That's
about
the plan.
We're talking about pay and whatnot. Usman Nurmagomedov, I think, is another big story. So his contract is up, fought out his deal. Thought it was really interesting in the cage right after saying, hey, Jake talks about Dana not paying. Let's see if he's going to pay. He was paraded around this past weekend at UFC 330. I said on the show on Monday, I feel like he's gone. I feel like that's it. Am I wrong?
I think you may be wrong.
Good. I want to know. I want to know what's going on because it felt
there's
to me
been
like
so
he was
much
very happy.
misinformation.
Tell
So
us.
just to set the record straight, now the UFC has not given them an offer. They're not
They
legally
can't,
allowed
right?
to.
Yeah, 90 days.
So we have an exclusive negotiating period. We're putting together an offer, and we're going to sit and we're going to talk with them. I think our offer will be competitive. It's really up to him. We would love to have him. We would love to keep him. I think there's still enough competition in the PFL, and that we'll be getting more and more fighters in, that we could keep him competitively challenged over the next several years. I have to say it's a little bit funny. About a year ago when I first started, the first event that I went to was Dubai, and that was Paul Hughes 2 versus Usman. And I had watched the first fight on YouTube. And I thought Hughes won that fight. And then I saw Usman fight in the second fight. And Usman, to me, clearly won, although I think you were even saying a lot of people thought that Paul Hughes won that one.
First.
The first one. Because the second one, to me, I thought
No, that was good. I just
Usman
thought the
won.
scorecards were a little wonky on that one.
They were.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so, but you fast forward, Usman has done very, very well against his next two competitors, right? Alfie and then Archie. But I started saying a year ago, this guy's one of the best flyweights in the world.
Lightweights.
Lightweights.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, 155.
Yeah.
One of the best lightweights in the world. And I think people were almost mocking me. And the original speculation was he wouldn't even be top 15 in the UFC. I'm like, well, then you're not watching what I'm watching. And I'm not being overly biased. So now I find it kind of ironic that he is being paraded around like he's the salvation of mixed martial arts. I mean, he's a terrific talent.
Yeah.
And we would love to keep him and work with him, and love for him to be a meaningful part of our promotion. If he chooses that that's not the path that he wants to do, then we have a lot of great fighters here, and it's a dynamic ecosystem. And if you look at the lightweight division, I mean, between Gadzi and J.J. Wilson and Amru, who's going to be the next up and coming guy in that weight class because he kicks like a mule. And Chizoff, and we've got a number of other, and Paul Hughes, not to be
Hopefully
forgotten.
coming back, yeah. When you saw him though this past weekend, how did you feel?
Saw
Usman, DC's coming up to him.
that was all
friends and
staged. That was all bullshit. I mean, come on, they're parading him around like putting him on the screen.
What do you think of Bellator, last Bellator lightweight champ, not current PFL? What do you think of that?
I laugh at all of this.
Yeah.
This is all kind of fun and games and funny, but
were you disappointed at all? He's looking up. He's saying, I'm going to smoke these guys, or I could smoke these guys. Like, did you feel like he was overtly flirting, or is he just playing the game?
I don't know. He would only know that. But no, this is I'm up for all of this. This is fine. This is part of the sport.
This is good.
Yeah.
Would it be a big blow to PFL if you can't keep him?
No, I mean, and I'm not diminishing his significance because I'm telling you, he's a prominent fighter for us, and we would love to. But to think that, I mean, when you look at what I started to look at when I came in, and I really got to know our fighters, I said the beginning of this year when Castelo Vanstinas won in Spain, and he won the middleweight championship. Well, he was the middleweight champion. He defended it. I said, I think our middleweight division has among the best fighters, and I think Johnny Eblen and Costello would both go in and fight at the top of the food chain of the UFC immediately. Mm-hmm. And now I'm looking at the bantamweight class and the featherweight class. We have some deepening roster of really badass fighters there too. So I think the difference between the quality of the UFC and our quality is, I've been saying it, nobody's been listening now, but Usman is evidence of this. It's not that different. And we have to continue to work hard to provide evidence of that. But we've got, we just put out a press release a couple 4 weeks ago, like we signed nearly 20 new fighters. We're out looking for new talent. Mustafa Diakite, who fought on Long Island. What a fantastic prospect he is. We just signed another dynamic French fighter, Wally Tandy, who's going to be fighting at a very, very upcoming card soon. These are really dynamic, interesting fighters. Patrick Harborora, keep an eye on him.
Love him.
We're going to be showcasing him. He's a huge talent.
Yeah.
Boris Antangana, the guy who goes by Modern Gladiator, keep an eye on him. He's a French fighter. He'll be fighting again
coming
before
back?
the end of there.
Speaking of French?
I know. Was it last time on here? He put out a tweet. You were like, he said, I'm going to KO somebody.
He would be such a great addition.
I would love to welcome him back. He still doesn't want to fight.
Doesn't want to fight, period.
Never say never, but.
Regarding Usman, you haven't offered him something new yet.
Correct.
You're working on it?
Yeah.
But you will do so within those 90
Soon.
days.
Oh, yeah,
so
of
the
course.
UFC can't do it. They can't talk to him.
Correct.
Right. And do you expect him to be happy with this deal? Like, do you think the UFC is going to try to, because the UFC can overpay, right, to take him away from you. They can afford to do that. How do you think this is going to play out?
I don't know.
You don't know,
We're going to
okay.
offer him something I think that's going to be compelling, and it depends. I can't, I have no control over what the UFC is going to do. We do have matching rights.
Okay, this is good. And is there like a champion clause as well, or can he...
Meaning,
some like in the UFC, you're a champion. You have to stick around for a year. There's a whole process there. Francis went through this.
not typically.
Okay. Paul Hughes was on the show yesterday. He's been very vocal about the drug testing in PFL, or perhaps lack thereof, if you ask him. You've seen any of this, I would imagine? Some of it that he has said? Do you have
I've seen what he said very, very recently.
Yes.
And I know he was on your show yesterday,
Yeah.
and I'm aware of that. I only found out the day before yesterday that he reached out to me over Instagram on my professional handle, which I don't check every day. So I have not spoken to him. I will, obviously. Look, what he's raising is an important subject in the sport. It's an important subject in all professional sports, but because combat sports is a dangerous sport, I mean, maybe it takes on a higher level of sensitivity. It's something that when I joined the PFL, I looked into. I said, we have protocols, we have procedures, and yes, they took me through the program. And it's something that, given that it's being raised again, I just started to take a look at again, and I'll continue to look at coming out of this, and I'll talk to Paul. But to be clear, we have protocols in place. We have a commission. It's governed by Mohegan Tribe. Mike Mazzulli, who's the former leader of the ABC, American Boxing Commission, leads that. We follow the WADA set of protocols of banned substances, and we use the same labs that the NCAA uses and the U.S. Olympic Committee uses. I mean, from what I understand, I'm not an expert of what UFC does, but it's very, very similar. We have year-round testing, we have in-competition testing, and out-of-competition testing.
He says no, though.
That's probably his, I will tell you for sure,
Yeah.
we have out-of-competition testing. So the fact that he has not been tested, I can't comment.
Sure. I guess the biggest thing that he's saying is like there's no person coming to your gym unannounced who's testing you. That's how you catch the cheaters. Blood test, etc. If you're just doing it the night before urine test, you know when that test is coming, so it's hard to weed out the cheaters.
Yeah,
right?
That's not my understanding of what is happening.
Maybe that's just been his experience.
I'm not an anti-doping scientist. So, it's a little bit of you have these regulators. If people do get caught cheating, then the athletic commissions are the ones, I believe, that propose the penalties. We enforce the penalties.
Yeah.
But those penalties can vary because different states have different rules. And they also go by the level of the infraction or perceived infraction. And I think they also go by whether this is a recidivism type of a case or not, meaning is this a multiple offender or not. And so what we do is make sure that the processes are in place, that it's an independent, professionally run set of regulators. We're aware of what the program is. I want to go back and look at now, is it rigorous enough, which I will do. And I want to make sure that if people are cheating, that they get caught and they have to pay their dues and that it's an adequate punishment for whatever it is that they're doing. It's hugely important to me, to Nakisa, to Jake, to the board. I would say that to Paul if he was sitting here. Of course we want a level playing field. It benefits nobody.
Right.
To believe that somehow we're favoring certain fighters over another. As long as I'm here, that's never going to happen. So is this a good opportunity to go back and refresh and take another look and say, are we doing enough? And I want to hear him out. I'll do that. Yeah, and of course we'll do that. But and I'm not making excuses. But we're not like we enforce, but we're not doing the actual test. We don't tell them test this person.
No, of course. No, I know how that runs.
Yeah.
The unannounced testing is probably the biggest thing in out of competition. Nearest and dearest to my heart, uniforms. Are they going away?
I don't know. It's funny because I've talked to Nikisa about that.
Well, Nikisa and I disagree on this because Nikisa was.
Well,
he introduced it to you. He was part of the problem.
Well, the irony
as I would
is,
say.
well, okay, that's.
I say that to him.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate the uniforms. I hated the Reebok deal. I hate the Venom deal, and I hate the PFL uniforms. I'll say that to you.
No, I've shared in that.
You know what was
but
so
now
great about
MVP-W, the women's boxing, they don't have uniforms. It's kind of funny.
B, that MMA event on May 16th.
Right.
They were all wearing their own stuff.
Right.
It was nice. It was refreshing.
Right.
That stuff matters to me.
Right.
So maybe in this new era we can.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got some ideas, but
Okay.
but we did. All right, I'll share this with you because the results were not intuitive to me. I thought all the fighters would rush to no uniforms. We asked and we took a survey, not of everybody.
Interesting.
The survey came back that a lot of the fighters said, no, it's just easier.
Less
I don't have to
stress.
think about
Yeah.
this. It's regulate. It's like I get a uniform. I don't mind it. It says PFL. We outfit the corner people. It's just, it's one less thing
I get it.
to worry about, to administer, what's up with the sponsorships, where the patch, how they and we had Dan Hardy, who's a very well-respected
Very.
individual and deeply respected by the fighters, in addition to everybody in my shop. He was part of our oversight committee, and he sort of was seeing it in both directions because initially he was very pro, let's get rid of the uniforms. And now I think he's more mixed.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is interesting. I can understand that. Less stress.
I don't like it, though.
Yes,
I mean, I'll still say I don't like it. That's I love the walkouts. I don't know if you've watched any of our stuff, but we're starting to add a little bit of live music. Mustafa Diakate walked out to some,
There was one thing I didn't like. I did like that, but there's one thing I didn't like on the Long Island show. There was too much talking during the walkouts. Like they were doing interviews. You might have been in one segment, but I know Jake was in one as well. It's like, we need to let that fighter have their moment there. That's not the time for like a discussion.
I agree with you. And I remember exactly what you're talking about. And it was because the broadcast didn't assume we were announcing a merger. So they tried to jam us in.
There was a lot. I know you guys had the linear window.
Yeah.
Dakota didn't get an interview.
Right, I heard that.
So people were unhappy with that.
I got asked that in the after press conference,
Yes.
and I didn't realize that at the time. But then when I went back and asked, it's because, if you're on a streamer and you don't have to end at a particular time, it's a hell of a lot easier to do. Same with pay-per-view. You end when you end.
Sure.
When you have a finite block of time, and by the way, the thing that is infuriating me about ESPN is I don't think we've started on time on the ESPN network yet. So it's like you think you're on ESPN, then it's like, no, go to ESPN2, then something runs over there, and it's like, go to ESPN News, and then you're on the app, and you're like, and it's this.
It was a situation, I think it was the last show in Charlotte, where like, I don't think anyone saw anything. It was just like nowhere. It just
people are texting me saying, I'm watching breakdancing.
Yes,
Can somebody
yes.
please help me?
It was
and then the next day, I was in Orlando with the MVP-W event, and there was a Savannah Bananas ball game that went like 20 minutes over, and so we all learned the rules of the Savannah Bananas the hard way. We're like, what do you mean there's no, like, the guy can't get out?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Any renewed interest from ESPN now that this has happened? They have the deal with MVP. They have a relationship. Like,
yeah, they reached out. They said, well, let's sit down and
do you
talk.
feel like it's different at all? Because I got to be honest, in speaking with you this year, it felt like it was a done deal. Like, you guys are done. Like, this is a divorce that is about to happen, and it's all good. We're going to go our separate ways.
Look, maybe I'm too honest. I express my frustration when I think
And we appreciate
warranted. And I wouldn't apologize for that. And by the way, I don't think anybody at ESPN would disagree with what I'm saying, but that's the most that they'd be willing to give us. I think with the idea of MVP, with maybe some new ideas that we'd like to come in and talk with them about, different approaches to things, with, Jake and Nikisa now being in the mix, and with the experience that they've had with Netflix, I think there is a renewed interest at ESPN. So
some people were asking me this yesterday, broadcast team, broadcast, the production, will that change, or are you going to stick with a similar look?
That's all. We're going to do that.
All working on that now.
Yeah.
You got a lot to deal with over the next few months.
It's a lot.
How do you feel about that?
Good. I feel really.
You feel like you signed up for this?
Yeah. I mean, look. Yes. I mean, nobody. I have nobody to blame but myself. How about that? Because, it would have, my day-to-day life would have been a little bit easier if I was just staying the course. But I've never played that way. If anybody knows me, I've always taken the difficult route if I believe it's the right thing to do.
How are those meetings with Sakakibara and the Rising guys? Yeah,
I like him.
Oh my God, legend.
Yes,
and what a presence he has as well.
And still passionate.
Yeah.
And so for anybody that doesn't know what you're referring to, so we again challenge a brand. I've been very interested and open to sharing fighters with Ryzen, which is the Japanese promotion led by Sakakibara. He is a legend. And so we've announced that we're doing something that I don't believe has ever been done, but you probably could tell me, maybe I'm wrong, is that AJ McKee, who is one of our he's not our crown champion, but we're basically going to allow him to fight for a PFL belt against the Ryzen champion, which is Jadalayev.
Yes.
Rajbali Shadalayev. I have to think about that.
No, that's
a
tough one.
I think I got his name right.
By the way, well done. I'm always very impressed with your promos and the interviews in the back, cage side. You nail the names all the time.
Thanks.
Pronunciations as well. Not easy.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So he's 19-0.
Yeah.
And he's a beast.
He's amazing.
So this is going to be a fun fight.
So what's at stake? Which belt is at stake? The PFL
145.
belt? For PFL? Both. This is the first time. I think this is the first time. So if AJ wins, he will be the Ryzen champ and the PFL champ. Wow. So what happens? Okay, so if he doesn't become the champion, now do you have a deal with the other guy?
Yeah, we're going to make a deal.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And what happens?
I think it's been a lot of fun.
So if AJ wins, now they could say like, hey, we want him to defend on our New Year's show.
Defend.
Wow. Love this. This is very
boxing
like. Yeah.
No, but this is what, and this is one of the things I think philosophically we're so aligned with MVP is like, what's cool for the fighters?
Let's have fun, yeah.
What's good for the fans? Like AJ is really like loving this.
Okay.
And other fighters, Paul Hughes is one of them. He came up and stood up and said, sign me up. I'd love to fight over in Japan. And for the fans, there may be 50,000 people in the Osaka Dome to watch this. So I can't wait. I'm going to go over and we'll see how it does. And look, and Sakakibara and I said open to further alliance I'm not talking about merging or anything. What I'm talking about is in the past, I know Bellator used to do co-promotions with them. They used to be involved in the New Year's Eve thing. Like, let's see how this goes. But, it's pretty interesting. And if the fans like it, I was surprised here in the States by the level of attention that has gotten from the MMA fan community for one fight in Japan.
Yeah. No, Ryzen has had an amazing couple of years. They've really revived the Japanese MMA scene. I'm going to let you go in a moment, but I'm just curious, like your outlook, it feels like not that long ago, there was the UFC, PFL was kind of figuring itself out and nothing else. All of a sudden, we're looking at a 2027 where it's UFC, year 2 of Paramount, they're rolling, MVP, this huge deal, whatever your new TV deal is, here comes Scott Coker back in the mix as well. Like all of a sudden, not to mention Ryzen over there, KSW, Octagon doing their thing. Like I feel like all of a sudden things are happening in MMA where the last couple of years, it was really a little bit dull. Do you share that? Do you like that? Do you like the fact that Coker is coming in? Let's go. Let's tangle here.
Yeah, of course. I like it. It'll be good for the sport.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy for him.
Right.
I know he's a very accomplished and respected executive, and I don't wish him badly. But what he's going to try to do is going to be really hard. So I wish him luck. But I want to make sure by the time he could catch up to where we are, we're not here anymore.
Right.
We're somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's why I think sometimes, and this is like my old media business brain on, sometimes you can scale organically, and sometimes there just isn't enough time. And I think, I was taught in business school where one lead competitor has all of the returns, which in MMA, it's UFC, it's going to attract capital, it's going to attract competition, and eventually those returns should erode if it's a perfectly competitive marketplace. So I think I like the position that we now find ourselves in. I'm really excited about it. I'm very energized.
I'm sure you saw Dana's initial comments being like, two failing brands coming.
Okay, but then he's parading Usman around. I mean, you think, he's not paying attention?
Oh, I'm sure he is paying attention, but I'm just curious, what was your reaction when you saw?
It's expected.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you hear from him? Did he congratulate you? No, you haven't talked to him?
But I smile. I like this. This is
fun.
Fun part. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's great. I thought it made all the sense in the world.
Thank you.
I'm really curious to see. I actually thought like that 24-hour stretch there, like you, Nikisa, and Jake are three very different personalities, but you did not seem like you're older than them and all that, but like it seemed like you guys meshed really well together. Does that make sense? Like when you're on the sets of those shows, when you're walking around, it doesn't feel like, that guy doesn't belong with these guys. You know, they've got their thing, but like, I don't know, the whole thing just kind of fit really, really nicely in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I haven't really thought about it that much, but I sort of would agree with you. Like the whole rollout just seemed organic and comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be myself because I think I am different. I think all three of us, to your point, we're all different.
Yes.
But I think we can all coexist. And like I said, I intend to continue to be myself. I'm not going to try to, I'm going to benefit from being partners with Jake and Nikisa. And, Jake is an interesting man in the sense that, you talk to him and the experience that he's had being a vlogger since he was 15 years old. You forget you're talking to a 29-year-old gentleman.
Yeah.
He's wise beyond his years. And Nikisa has a unique set of insights and capabilities from having been at the UFC, and both from a strategy standpoint and a CFO standpoint, and then building MVP from the ground up with Jake, and making a real play in boxing, which is obviously different than UFC. So I hope that we all play off of each other's skills. And I've been involved with a lot of mergers, and I've talked to Nikisa about this. Like, you can have all of the strategy in the world and have it make sense, but it always gets screwed up for only one reason. It's the people.
Ego.
Yeah. I was involved in AOL Time Warner.
Sure.
There's no better example of how not to do something than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm going to do everything I can to make this a success, and I believe they will too. I think everyone is genuinely excited about the opportunity, and I do believe the fighters are excited about the opportunity. It's going to take us a little while to just get everything integrated and get going, but I'm excited to come out with kind of a little bit of a reboot for next year, and hopefully with some more momentum, because there's a lot of really good and interesting things happening right now.
We getting Jake and Nate next year?
I hope so.
They're going back and forth.
Jake is very serious about doing MMA next year.
He is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Have there been talks with Nate? Has Nate sent out a video replying?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know there have been talks in the past.
Yeah.
In fact, PFL was involved with that when Ron Davis was around.
But he sent out a video in the last few days saying pull up or whatever. So it seems like he's interested.
I think it would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Maybe back
By
with
the way,
Francis.
The other thing was, the Hoist Gracie came to our New York event, and they were talking about Hoist training Jake. That'd be a lot of fun.
Wow. That would be crazy. Yeah. Francis back in the mix?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Is that
the last conversation I had with Francis, I said, that had nothing to do with MVP.
Sure.
But I said to him, I'm like, look, I hope our paths cross again.
Okay. Very exciting stuff. Congratulations. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for always having me. I like being here in the studio too.
You enjoy it?
Yeah.
What about it?
I like talking to
better,
people face to face.
Better than Zoom, right?
Yeah.
But now we've done LA and New York.
Yeah.
But this is our real home. You're always welcome here. We love these conversations. And actually, I was dying inside because I went on vacation the day of your event.
I know you did.
It killed me. It killed me because I was like, this is where I love this type of stuff, the business of the sport. Yeah. And so it killed me to have to sit on it. But actually, I'm happy now because maybe a couple of weeks have passed, a little more perspective. So I think it worked out. Thank you so much. Wish you guys the best this weekend in Tampa, and then October 16th, as you just spoke.
Yes, and don't forget Friday, MVP-PFL.
Friday, Pachenga.
TikTok Live.
Yes, amazing. Amanda Serrano, the return of one of the greatest of all time. We'll take a quick break, say goodbye to John, be back with Teofimo Lopez, also fighting this weekend. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.